A stolen glance, a forbidden kiss, and a red-haired baby that has the entire ton whispering. Bridgerton Season 4 is not holding back. From a scandalous masquerade to shocking alliances, the latest sneak peeks and spoilers reveal a season overflowing with romance, betrayal, and unexpected twists. But one image is causing the biggest stir. Penelope and Colin now married, holding their red-headed son. Could this child shake up the entire Featherington legacy? And just when the whispers settle, another story begins. Benedict Bridgerton meets a mysterious woman at a masked ball. What starts as a fantasy becomes an obsession, but who really is Sophie Beck? The ton cannot stop talking. The sneak peek reveals Penelope Featherington, now a mother cradling a baby with unmistakably red curls. For fans of the books, this might seem expected. After all, Penelope's hair has always been one of her defining traits. But in the world of Bridgerton, where appearances, bloodlines, and reputation mean everything, this detail is more than just a nod to genetics. It's a symbol that Lady Featherington, long obsessed with status and perception, must now accept her daughter's powerful rise and transformation. But this baby also represents a new era, an era where Penelope is no longer hiding in the shadows. She's a mother now, a lady, and very possibly still Lady Whistledown. Which raises another question. With a child in the picture, will she finally stop writing? Or has motherhood only sharpened her tongue? Even more surprising is the bond we glimpse between Colin and Lady Featherington. Once cold and dismissive, she now looks at her son-in-law with what appears to be warmth. Maybe even respect. Could this mean she's ready to accept that her family's future now depends on the Bridgertons? Or is she playing a deeper game using her grandson as leverage to stay relevant? No one in the Featherington household moves without calculation. And while Penelope may believe she's finally in control, there's always a price to power in this world. But this is not just Penelope's story anymore. Because as the masquerade draws closer, another Bridgerton prepares to fall and fall hard. Benedict's story is finally stepping into the spotlight, and the world he's about to enter is full of secrets, longing, and one breathtaking woman in blue who will haunt his dreams long after the masks come off. The masquerade ball is where everything begins, a place where rules are forgotten and identities are hidden. For Benedict, it's a moment of magic, an escape from duty, family expectations, and the polished smiles of the elite. He doesn't expect to meet someone like Sophie Beck. And when he does, it's not a flirtation. It's fate. Her presence silences the noise in his mind. Her eyes, half shielded by a delicate mask, hold a story he can't stop chasing. But the problem is she disappears before midnight. What Benedict doesn't know is that Sophie isn't just mysterious. She's dangerous to his world. She's a maid, a woman with no title, no wealth, and no right to be in his arms. But she was there at the ball dressed like a lady glowing under the candlelight. And now the man who never believed in love is desperate to find her again? That desperation is the beginning of a spiral one that could bring scandal not only to him, but to the entire Bridgerton name. Yet Sophie isn't waiting to be rescued. After escaping her cruel stepmother, she finds work in the one place she hoped she'd never be discovered. Lady Violet's household? And as fate would have it, she's now living under the same roof as the man who kissed her hand under the stars. But he doesn't recognize her. Not without the mask, not in servant's clothes. And that perhaps is the cruelest twist of all. Because while Penelope's baby is being celebrated in the drawing rooms of the elite, Sophie is scrubbing floors beneath them. And still she dares to dream. Still she remembers the kiss. Still she wonders, could a masquerade lead to a miracle? Sophie Beck wasn't born a maid. She was born a gentleman's daughter, loved once but forgotten quickly. After her father's death, everything changed. Left in the care of a cruel stepmother and two stepsisters, Sophie was stripped of her identity and thrown into a life of servitude. Her days were filled with silence, scrubbing, and shame. But one night changed everything. The masquerade. For just a few hours, she felt like someone else. Someone worthy of love, worthy of dancing, worthy of being seen. That's when she met him, Benedict Bridgerton. And in his eyes, she wasn't a maid. She was magic. But reality is never kind to dreamers. The morning after the ball, Sophie vanished into the shadows once more, believing it was better to forget him until fate cruelly placed her in his home. Now, Sophie walks through the halls of the Bridgerton estate as a maid serving tea-polishing silver, keeping her head down. But every glance Benedict gives her, every shared moment, every lingering pause, it all threatens to pull her secret into the light. He doesn't know it's her, the woman from the ball, the one he's been searching for with growing desperation. And as he speaks of this mystery lady to his family, to his friends, to strangers, Sophie is right there hearing every word, her heart breaking with every description. He remembers the way she moved, the way she laughed, the way she disappeared. What he doesn't realize is that she's closer than he ever imagined. But the world of the Ton is built on appearances, and Sophie's truth could destroy him. If anyone finds out he fell for a servant, if Lady Whistledown publishes it, if the Queen hears of it, if his own mother discovers the truth, his name, his legacy, and everything he stands for will be ruined. And yet none of that seems to matter to Benedict. The more time he spends with Sophie, the more confused he becomes. Why does this maid haunt his thoughts? Why does her voice feel familiar? And why does he find himself looking at her, not as a servant, but as something far more dangerous? Meanwhile, Sophie isn't the only one hiding. Across the estate, a storm is brewing between Penelope and Queen Charlotte. At first, their relationship seems charming, two powerful women with a shared love for gossip and glittering secrets. But Queen Charlotte isn't easily fooled. She knows someone in the Ton still carries the quill of Lady Whistledown, and her instincts tell her it might not be Eloise, or even Cressida Cowper. Her eyes are on Penelope now more than ever. Every smile Penelope gives the Queen is a calculated one. Every compliment is loaded with meaning. And while Penelope may have stepped into motherhood, into marriage, and into power, she has not stepped out of danger. As Lady Whistledown's words continue to stir, the Ton, another familiar face returns. Footman John, the quiet servant who once helped Eloise sneak out for forbidden meetings, has reappeared. And he's watching Sophie, not with suspicion, but with interest. Their paths cross often, both bound by the rules of the household and the secrets they carry. Some fans have long believed that John could develop feelings for Sophie, and that Benedict seeing this would unravel with jealousy. And now, with John's presence growing stronger in every episode, that theory no longer feels like fantasy. It feels like foreshadowing. Because if Benedict doesn't discover the truth soon, someone else will. And if that someone is John, kind, loyal, and now dangerously close to Sophie, it could trigger a love triangle the Ton will never forget. Especially since Sophie, despite her resolve, is tired of hiding, tired of being invisible, tired of waiting for Benedict to see her for who she truly is. And so the game begins. Sophie is pretending to be someone she's not. Benedict is chasing a woman who's already within his reach. Penelope is balancing power and motherhood while being hunted by the Queen herself. And Footman John is quietly becoming a threat no one expected. Lady Violet Bridgerton has always prided herself on knowing her children, their moods, their dreams, their weaknesses. She's watched Anthony lead with duty, call and fall for love, disguised as friendship, and now, Benedict, her most artistic and free-spirited son, begin to spiral. Something is wrong. Something has changed. He's distant, distracted, and restless. At first, she believes it's his lingering obsession with the mysterious woman from the masquerade, the woman he danced with and cannot forget. But then she notices the way his eyes linger just a second too long when Sophie enters a room, the way his tone softens when he speaks to her, and the way he watches her, not with curiosity, but with quiet torment. Lady Violet may not know Sophie's past yet, but one thing is clear: her son is falling, and this fall could shatter everything. But the Ton is not forgiving, and gossip moves faster than love. Whispers begin to spread, first about a Bridgerton son keeping company with a maid, then about that maid's striking resemblance to a woman seen at the ball, and finally the cruelest theory of all, that Benedict Bridgerton is so desperate to find love, he's willing to throw away his status for a servant, and that theory doesn't stay hidden. It reaches the lips of Lady Danbury, of Cressida Cowper, and eventually of Queen Charlotte herself. Now the walls are closing in on Sophie. She tries to leave, to escape before her truth destroys Benedict's name. But fate once again is unkind. She's caught, not by Benedict, but by Lady Violet. A quiet confrontation follows behind closed doors. Lady Violet demands to know everything: who she is, why she's here, and most importantly, why she never said a word. And Sophie, with tears in her eyes, tells the truth about her father, about her fall from grace, and about the one night she allowed herself to be someone else. Lady Violet listens. She doesn't yell. She doesn't banish her. She simply says, "You should have told me." And then she does something unexpected. She doesn't throw Sophie out. She keeps her close. Because deep down, Lady Violet sees something familiar in Sophie. The same strength she once had when she fought for her own love. And though the world may call this romance scandalous, Lady Violet begins to believe it might be fate. But outside the Bridgerton estate, the scandal grows. The Ton is preparing for another ball, and this time the stakes are higher than ever. Sophie is invited, not as a maid, but as a guest, dressed in a gown borrowed from Eloise, with her hair pinned high and her eyes full of fear. She walks into the fire. And who should see her first? Cressida Cooper, the Queen of Spite. She recognizes her instantly, the girl from the masquerade, the maid in disguise. And with one well-placed whisper, she begins to unravel the secret that could destroy both Sophie and Benedict in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Benedict is unraveling in his own way. He's done searching for the woman from the ball. He's done chasing a ghost. He's found someone real, Sophie. But just as he makes this decision, he hears it. The rumors, the whispers, that she's not who she claimed to be, that she was at the masquerade all along, that she lied. And he doesn't know whether to be furious or heartbroken, because the woman he fell for, the one he's been dreaming of, is the same woman who's been under his roof all this time lying to him. And just when it seems everything might come crashing down, Lady Whistledown releases her next paper. And in it, one sentence seals Sophie's fate. It appears the Bridgerton sons have taken after their father, risking reputation in pursuit of a forbidden heart. Everything starts to fall apart the moment Lady Whistledown's paper spreads through the Ton like wildfire. In tea rooms and garden parties, the question on every noble's lips is the same: who is the mysterious maid that captured Benedict Bridgerton's heart? And worse, why has the Bridgerton family allowed such a scandal to grow under their very roof? For once, the Ton is not charmed by the romance. This isn't a duke falling for a wallflower. This is a second son courting someone beneath his station, and for many it is simply too much. But before the Bridgertons can even respond, Queen Charlotte acts. She invites Benedict to court, not as a suitor, not as a guest, but as a man being summoned for an answer. Benedict arrives at court with fire in his eyes. He expects judgment. What he doesn't expect is Sophie, already there, standing beside Queen Charlotte, head bowed, trembling. Not with fear, but with pride. Because when the Queen questioned her, Sophie did not lie. She admitted everything: that she came to the ball, that she wore no title, that she danced with Benedict under false pretenses. And yet, she never once claimed to be someone she was not. "I only pretended to belong," she said for one night. Queen Charlotte stares at her for a long moment. Then she asks the one question that, "Did you love him when you danced with him?" Sophie nods. And with that, the Queen does something no one expected. She turns to Benedict and says, "You've always claimed to be a man of art and vision. Now is your chance to prove it." The court gasps. Is this approval or a challenge? Either way, the Queen has just placed Benedict on the edge of a knife. He can accept Sophie and face the wrath of high society, or walk away and lose the only woman who ever saw him for who he truly is. Back at Bridgerton House, chaos brews. Anthony is furious, not because Benedict loves Sophie, but because of what this means for their family's reputation. Eloise, meanwhile, is delighted. She has long believed in tearing down the Ton's rules. But it's Penelope who faces the hardest decision, because she knows something no one else does. Lady Featherington has a plan to expose Sophie's connection to the late Earl of Penwood, reclaiming her fortune and removing her from the Bridgertons forever. It's a plan full of cruelty and greed, and Penelope is caught in the middle. Penelope must now choose stay silent to protect her mother's ambitions, or betray her family to save her friend. The choice becomes even harder when Colin finds out. He confronts Penelope, and for the first time since their marriage, there is a fracture. If you knew something and said nothing, he tells her, then maybe you're still hiding behind ink and secrets. The weight of these words crushes her. So Penelope makes a bold move. She reveals everything to Lady Violet, to Anthony, and most importantly to Benedict. She exposes Sophie's true lineage, her connection to the Earl, and the truth behind Lady Featherington's scheme. The room falls silent. Sophie, stunned, realizes what this means. She is not just a maid, she is a daughter of the aristocracy, even if the Ton tried to erase her. But Benedict doesn't care about her bloodline. I loved her before I knew, he says quietly, and I love her still. The family is shaken. But for the first time, they stand united. Lady Violet gives her quiet blessing. Eloise raises her teacup in salute. Even Anthony, though hesitant, nods in silent approval. And then, in a moment of quiet triumph, Benedict turns to Sophie and says, "No more running. You belong here. The whispers of the court and the gossip of the Ton have only just begun." As Benedict and Sophie's love story unfolds, the weight of tradition presses harder. The pressure is mounting, not only on the couple, but on the entire Bridgerton family. At the heart of the drama, a wedding looms. It's not just any wedding, it's Benedict and Sophie's. But it's a wedding that threatens to tear apart the very fabric of society's expectations. Sophie may have been accepted into the family, but she still faces the wrath of the Ton. The whispers grow louder and the doubts stronger. Some claim that Benedict's heart is simply clouded by passion, not reason. That his love for Sophie is a fleeting fantasy. But what those critics don't understand is that Benedict's love is anything but a passing whim. It's a rebellion, a stand against the rules that have bound him his whole life. He refuses to bow to tradition, refuses to let society dictate his happiness. "I loved her before the world knew her name," he says, his voice unwavering, "and I will love her after they've forgotten." The night before the wedding, tensions reach their peak. As the family gathers, Penelope sits in the background, her mind racing. She has made her choices, revealing secrets, risking everything for her friends and family. But there is still one secret left to unravel, a secret that once revealed could change everything. The final twist isn't one that comes from the Ton, but from within. Lady Featherington has one final card to play, and it's one that could destroy everything. The morning of the wedding arrives, and the atmosphere is tense. Sophie, in her wedding gown, walks down the aisle with the weight of history upon her shoulders. Benedict stands at the altar looking at her with a mixture of awe and defiance. He knows that this moment is the culmination of everything they've fought for. But as Sophie steps forward, a last-minute revelation shatters their perfect moment. Footman John, who has become an unexpected ally, stands in the back, his eyes fixed on Sophie. Not with love, but with a promise of something darker. As the vows are exchanged, a letter from Lady Featherington arrives at the church filled with scandalous claims about Sophie's true heritage and the lies she has hidden. The room holds its breath. Will this be the end? Will the wedding be stopped before it even begins? But Benedict, more determined than ever, steps forward, taking Sophie's hand. "We've come this far," he declares, "and no one, not even the Ton, can tear us apart." In that moment, the door swings open and the Queen herself steps into the room. She walks down the aisle with a regal air, her eyes locked on Sophie. It's not a test, but an approval. "Let them be Queen Charlotte," declares her voice firm. Their love is stronger than any scandal. And just like that, Sophie and Benedict are married with the full blessing of the Queen and the Bridgerton family. But it's not the end. It's only the beginning. As they kiss, sealing their vows, the future of the Bridgerton legacy is secured. They may have fought the world, but they've won the greatest battle love. The scandalous ball, the stolen glances, the forbidden kisses, they all led to this moment. A new chapter begins not just for Benedict and Sophie, but for the entire Bridgerton family. But as the camera pans out, one last question hangs in the air. What happens when the next scandal arrives? Because in the world of the Bridgertons, there is always more to the story. The game is never truly over. And Season 4, with all its twists and turns, has only scratched the surface. The stakes have been raised and the Ton is watching. The true drama of the Bridgerton family is just beginning.